The Syrian war has left thousands dead and large swathes of the country in the hands of militias as well as terror groups. Millions of Syrians have left their homes. Turkey is home to nearly 4 million Syrian refugees. Its aim in this operation is to create a peace corridor along the Syrian-Turkish border, where refugees can be resettled and live free from fear of the Assad regime or terror groups. The area Turkey is trying to clear was once home to Kurds and Arabs, but many locals have fled the area. This is what Syria looked like when Daesh was almost at the height of its power. So, if you were a Syrian who did not support the regime, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, the YPG or Daesh, you basically had to submit to their rule or try to flee. Millions of refugees have been driven out of the country and thousands have been killed by Daesh, but mainly by the Syrian regime. The YPG, who is a terrorist group affiliated with the PKK, has also played a role. In 2015, Amnesty International released a report outlining how YPG groups deliberately burned down villages and forced displacements. Turkey is also seeking to clear its border from the group that has shelled Turkey and killed hundreds of people for years. In 2016, Turkey launched Operation Euphrates Shield. Its aim was to drive Daesh and the YPG out of northern Syria. Then, in 2018, came Operation Olive Branch in Afrin. As a result of the two operations, at least 340,000 refugees were able to return home. And today, Turkey is carrying out Operation Peace Spring to create a 480-kilometre long, 30-kilometre wide safe zone. These are the obstacles preventing them from doing that. Since 1984, the PKK, an armed organisation, has been fighting against the Turkish state, claiming the lives of more than 40,000 people. According to a CIA fact book, there is estimated to be around 12 million Kurds in Turkey. The PKK claims to lead a struggle for the right of self-determination for Turkey's Kurdish population, which is not supported by every Kurd in Turkey. This group is recognised as a terrorist organisation not only by Turkey but many entities, including the European Union, NATO and the United States. And yet the US has trained and armed the YPG since 2015. Why? Despite knowing that it's affiliated to the PKK, the US has seen the YPG as a key ally in its fight against Daesh in Syria, a strategy that has made Ankara unhappy.
May I just say one thing? The YPG, that militia that the United States has been supporting, is absolutely affiliated with the PKK.
Is the PKK a terrorist organization in the eyes of the Turkish government?
The PKK is a terrorist organization not only in the eyes of the Turkish government, but in the eyes of the U.S. government as well.
As of now, more than 300 civilians in Turkey have been killed by Daesh, and Turkey alone has arrested over 5,000 Daesh terrorists and neutralised 3,500. So why hasn't the US looked to Turkey to be its key partner in the fight against Daesh?
We are witnessing a terrorist organization trying to legitimize a terrorist organization at the expense of destroying it with another terrorist organization. You can never defeat a terrorist organization with another terrorist organization.
Instead, the US support of the YPG has emboldened the terror group, claiming to represent Kurdish interests. Yet many Kurds, if not the vast majority of them, oppose the YPG and the PKK. But that's not all. The US intentionally attempted to hoodwink the international community by asking the YPG to masquerade as a peace-loving democratic entity.
They formally called themselves the YPG, who the Turks would say equated to the PKK. You're dealing with a terrorist enemy of mine. How can you do that, ally? So we literally played back to them that you got to change your brand. What do you want to call yourself besides the YPG? And with about a day's notice, they declared that they were the Syrian Democratic Forces. I thought it was a stroke of brilliance to put democracy in there somewhere.
In 2019, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres said the YPG recruited 313 children and used many schools for military purposes. And that's not all.
I was just speaking a little while ago with Senator Rubio about the Kurdish militia that we have relied upon. That Kurdish militia has been accused of war crimes by groups like Amnesty International. In some cases, Syrian refugees flee it and don't go towards the Kurdish areas. They run away from them. They go into Islamic State territory.
As this operation begins to unfold, the YPG has threatened to release Daesh prisoners to thwart Turkey's attempt to secure the area and make it safe for refugees to return. Reports are already emerging that a prison holding 800 Daesh members formerly under YPG control is now empty. Prisoners have been let loose. So why is Turkey fed up? Turkey is the country with the largest Syrian refugee population. For years, it has asked for help from the UN and the EU to do its share in the humanitarian crisis and help create a safe zone to resettle refugees. Turkey has turned to its allies to get rid of groups terrorising the Syrian people, but the requests have fallen on deaf ears.